Theism or Atheism, The Great Alternative by Chapman Cohen. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Theism or Atheism, The Great Alternative by Chapman Cohen. Preface. Shrouded in the cloak of philosophy, the question of the existence of God continues to attract attention, and I may add, to command more respect than it deserves, for it is only by a subterfuge that it assumes the rank of philosophy. God enters into philosophy only when it is beginning to lose caste in its proper home, and then in its new environment it undergoes such a transformation as to contain very little likeness to its former and proper self. It disowns its parentage and claims another origin, and, like so many genealogists devising pedigrees for the parvenu, certain philosophers attempt to map out for the newcomer an ancestry to which he can establish no valid claim. Nothing would, indeed, surprise the ancestor more than to be brought face to face with his descendant. He would not be more astonished than would the ancient Eohippus on meeting a modern-day dray-horse. In anthropology or history, the idea of God may fairly claim a place, but it has no place in philosophy on any sensible meaning of the word. The consequence of this transference of the idea of God to the sphere of philosophy is the curious position that the God in which people believe is not the God whose existence is made the product of an argument, and the God of the argument is not the God of belief. The theory and the fact have no more likeness to each other than a chestnut horse has to a horse chestnut. A fallacy is perpetuated by appealing to a fact, but the fact immediately discredits the fallacy by disowning it in practice. The grounds upon which the belief in God is supposed to rest, the reasoning from which it springs, are seen to follow the belief instead of preceding it. The roots are in the air, and on closer inspection are seen to be artificial adornments, so many imitations that have been hung there for the purpose of imposing on nearsighted or careless observers. The purpose of the following pages is to make clear the nature of this alliance and to expose the real character of what we are asked to worship. There are, of course, many on whose ears any amount of reasoning will fall without effect. To that class this book will not appeal. It may be questioned whether many will even read it. They will go on professing the belief they have always professed, and taking pride in the fact that they have an intellect which is superior to proof, and which disdains evidence when it runs contrary to my belief. Others will, I expect, complain that the treatment of so solemn a subject is not reverent enough. But why any subject should be treated reverently, as a condition of examination, is more than I have ever been able to discover. It is asking the inquirer to commence his investigation with a half promise to find something good in what he is about to examine. Whether a thing is worthy of reverence or not is a conclusion that must follow investigation, not precede it. And one does not observe any particular reverence shown by the religious person toward those beliefs in which he does not happen to believe. But there are some who will read thoughtfully an examination of so old a subject as theism, and it is to those that these pages are addressed. One cannot hope to say anything that is strikingly new on so well-worn a subject as the existence of God. But there are many who will read an old subject when presented in a new work, and even then there is also the possibility of presenting an old topic in a slightly new form. And I think these will find the main lines of the defense set up by the Godite dealt with in a manner that should at least make the point at issue clear. Finally, it is one aim of this book to press home the point that the logical issue is between theism and atheism, that there is no logical halting place between the two, and that any attempt to call a halt is little more than a concession to a desire for mental or social convenience, seems to me as clear as anything can well be. And there is really nothing gained ultimately by the halt. This inclination on the part of the non-theist to push the issue to its logical conclusion is treated by the theist as inability to do so, and is used as an argument in support of his own belief. In matters of the intellect,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?